All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first 2020 LTC virtual conference. My name is Jenna Davis, and I am part of the chapter relations team here at HFMA, and we are so excited to see everybody on the line today. To kick off the conference, we would like to extend our thanks to our 2020 LTC sponsors: Care Credit, Care Payment, Craneware, Parallon, Patent, Real Cost EPSI, Premier, RevSpring, Russell Investments, Cenex, and Virginia Mason Institute. Your participation is requested. There will be live Q&A during the conference, so put your questions into the Q&A pod. We'll also be utilizing the chat pod to share information and tips during the sessions. The Q&A will be captured in a video and posted to the Chapter Resource Center next week. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the presenters for this session: Joe Fifer, HFMA's President and CEO, and Tammie Galindez, HFMA's 2020-21 Chair. And now I'll turn things over to Joe.
Thank you, Jenna, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy day. I'm sure probably for many of you busier than ever. And so your donation of your time to us this morning is just really very much appreciated. And yes, I have my quarantine beard going. Some of you have made comments in the chat room. We'll see how long this lasts. No, I'm not. Somebody asked about going to grow a ponytail and finish the Willie Nelson look. No, that's not going to happen. But I thought I'd have a little fun with this. You know, we're trying to laugh every time we can and have a little fun, even in a crazy time. You know, I was thinking as trying to get ready for this, you know, there's not much I can say that really hasn't been said in terms of an introduction. You know, we hear the term, how many times have you heard the term, we're in unprecedented times? And, you know, there's a time of confusion. You know, what can I do and where can I go? And now as the data keeps coming forward, you know, there's really distinct geographic disparities in terms of the impact of the virus. You know, you add into that a 24/7 media circus that, you know, adds to a division amongst us even in a crisis. And that's probably a whole other topic we could get into. But it's a crazy time. And, you know, quite frankly, and many of you are feeling this in your own organizations, it's got the healthcare industry reeling. And, you know, honestly, as I talk with my peers, that has the association industry reeling as well. We're not in a way we're trying to, you know, adjust everything we do. We think about HFMA, no live LTC, no live annual conference, numerous canceled meetings, and we're not clear about the fall. And so it just dawned on me, sounds like a great year to be chapter president, doesn't it? But there are some positive signs. There's some good things that are going on. Our web traffic is up. Our webinar attendance, we had one just a week or so ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, and we had to cap it off at several thousand attendees. And we have a series of webinars going on, and the attendance at the webinars is up. We're reimagining annual conference and delivering that content in a virtual way over the summer months. And we're going to open that up for all of our members, not just you know, those that had or would have, you know, signed up. And it's going to be included in the all-inclusive membership model. So no charge for members. It'll be a great introduction to annual conference for those that haven't been. This meeting was quickly restructured. You know, the whole approach. And I would tell you, it was restructured twice, because the first time when we first canceled LTC, we thought we would have an annual conference. So we said, well, some content will roll out now and some we'll do at the annual conference. And then, of course, you know what happened with the annual conference. And so Tracy and Jenna and their colleagues restructured this meeting twice. You know, lots of changes going on. And So it's in that environment that I just wanted to talk about a couple things with you this morning in a brief introduction. I wish I could tell you a date and a time everything will be back to the way it was. Wouldn't that be nice? Because we could put up with just about anything if we kind of knew what the end point was going to be. But I can't, and we don't, because we don't know. There's one of the things that's more disconcerting about this environment is the uncertainty, and even the endpoint is is a little bit uncertain. When you say get everything back to the way it was, maybe it'll never be back to the way it was. And so you might be sitting here thinking, well, that's an upbeat tone to start this meeting off. Well, one, I like to deal in reality, and so I'm not going to sugarcoat things, but I want to bring you back to a couple different core principles that I really believe are true, that they kind of make sense of all this. So the first core principle is that healthcare is, no matter how you look at it, the people side, people need healthcare, or the fact is that it's 1/5 of our economy if you just want to look at it from an economic perspective. But healthcare is not going away. And yes, it might look a little different, and we are in a change environment anyway, but it's not going away. And that's a core principle that I think sometimes we forget in all the frenetic changes that were going on, is that unlike other industries that have virtually vanished, ours won't. Now we have to adapt and move on. And it kind of like those of you that are NCAA basketball tournament fans, there's a saying in there about, win and move on. And that's all you need to do. And so we need to adapt and move on. But it's within a core of an industry that's not going away. Second core principle is that it's a technical industry. It's the most complex industry in our country. So healthcare finance people need help. They need guidance. They need community. And it's upon all of us, both in our the association offices and within the chapters and regions, to identify what are the issues of our members, what is their issue, what's their problem that they're trying to solve, and then help them solve that. But that core principle that it's a very complex industry is beneficial to us. People need HFMA now more than ever. And the third principle is that, and this is a little bit more forward thinking, but we are social beings. We want and we need, as social beings, we need connection. Even us introverts, we need connection. And maybe that's one thing that even on the introvert side, we think, and I love it. I love my alone time, and I need my alone time to think, and I get energy from that as opposed to getting energy from other people. And that's one of the core differences between introverts and extroverts. But even introverts are learning that, being secluded and quarantined, for a long period of time, that we do need that connection. So if you think about those core principles, deep down at the most basic level, these are things that have made HFMA who we are. And those remain. And that's a good thing. And so I say all that. I'm not naive about the situation. I'm not naive about all the questions I posed in the beginning. But it does tell me that we need patience and change. And that reminded me of a story that I heard a doctor once telling me. He was in surgical training and in the surgical suite with the attending physician there, and he was searching up, and the attending told him to hurry up. So the resident was, going faster, and then the doctor said, the surgeon said, "No, take your time." And he said, "Well, you want me to hurry up and take your time?" And it kind of leads into another saying that I thought of, that John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach for many, many years, he has this saying: "Be quick, but don't be in a hurry." And where I'm going with that is just some thoughts and guidelines based on those core principles, but things that we need to think about. So in this environment, there are geographic differences throughout the country. There's cultural differences, there's government restriction differences, and those will, in all likelihood, they're really showing up now, as some states loosening up, others not. there's healthcare or health system differences. The reactions by health systems and how long it's going to take to recover is going to look different around the country. I would tell you this, that we need to keep those differences in mind. We need to also don't be in a hurry to get back to, have to have chapter meetings. We need to protect our members. So don't be in a rush. So again, be quick, but don't be in a hurry. I would say this is not a year about the numbers. This is not about, quote, your year in terms of having the best chapter metrics ever. We're going to talk later today about with a session on metrics to help give you that guidance. Metrics are always important, but this is not going to be a year where you're going to set the metric world on fire. In fact, I would say about leadership, which all of you are in a leadership role, true leadership gets the job done no matter what it is. And so it is a great year to be president, because we need in president and president-elect and program chair and in all your leadership roles, we're going to need strong but positive leadership, a can-do kind of an approach. Now, I get asked all the time, in all kinds of issues, but we've been asked, a number of us this year, about, well, do we have some guidelines? How do I go about doing this? It's going to be impossible to have a blanket statement. I talked earlier about the differences between state, local, and just using our common sense. Tracy and her colleagues have put together some guidance. They're going to provide more support for meeting management. They're a good listening ear. So you'll hear more about that later today, but don't be afraid to pick up the phone and give her a call. One last kind of important thing that I get on the table here, and I'm going to make an announcement and ask for your help. But our board met yesterday, and we've been talking through a variety of ways over the last couple of weeks. In terms of our board makeup for the next 2 years or next several years. So just to remind you, normally we have a governance committee that nominates a slate to the board, and then that slate goes to a member vote. And in all of these changes through to the virus, Tammie, who's going to follow me up here in a second, Tammie, lost this meeting in terms of live, has lost the annual conference. And at the same time, we've started our board transition. We've done orientation for the 3 new board members coming in, and that was slated to take effect on June 1. So it all added up to some changes that we're going to make to the normal process. Mike Allen is going to stay on as board chair for another year. Tammie is going to stay on as chair-elect, Aaron as secretary, and Dennis Dolan as treasurer. So we're going to split that secretary and treasurer role, and add one more board member, one more officer for the year. The new class coming in, again, having started the process already, they are going to come in. Then we're asking our board members to serve as in a 4-year commitment. So what that does is that it adds, again, one more board member, one more officer. Next year, then Tammie will ascend into the chair role. Aaron will be chair-elect. Dennis will be in that that combined secretary-treasurer role. And the rest of the directors will stay the same. What the impact of all that is, Tammie is on for a full year, so she doesn't lose 3/4 of the year like it would have been this year. So we'll be able to listen to her message, and she gets to participate in that full year of activities, which you can all appreciate. It enables us to not to have a governance committee process this year. And that's time consuming for a lot of people, and we thought that gives us the focus. It allows Dennis Dolan, who was coming in, to stay on the board. So we created that extra role for him to stay on. And then in terms of adding the year to the rest of the directors, that gives us a 2-year period of director continuity, which we think is going to be important. And again, enables us to avoid that governance committee process. So here's the ask for you. We do need to take this to a member vote, and that's going to go out this week. By bylaw, and it's a temporary bylaw change. By bylaw, we need to get 10% of our membership vote. And with our enterprise environment, it's a little harder to get a 10% vote than it has been in the past. And so I'm going to ask you to help with that in terms of getting members to vote. It's an easy thing, just take a few seconds, and we'll do it that way. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. I would say, just to kind of repeat what I said earlier, again, we're in a learning mode. I would ask you to have grace this year. Assume good intent as you're working on HFMA things. Share your successes and your struggles with each other. Use the community group that we've set up and take advantage of all the digital tools that we're making available. So thank you for allowing me to kick off the meeting today. I'm going to turn it over to Tammie, who is, again, our chair-elect. And so, Tammie, take it over. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Joe. Joe, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just clear as can be.
Perfect. So welcome, everybody. And I want to say to Joe specifically, I just, on behalf of the board, I would say thank you. I reflect now on your theme when you were chair, and courage and leadership seems very appropriate now, and you've certainly demonstrated that as our president and CEO. So I thank you. And good morning to all of you, and welcome to HFMA's virtual 2020 Leadership Training Conference. I want to thank you, echo what Joe said in terms of your time. I want to thank you for your commitment to leading your chapters in this coming year, which will be unprecedented. And we should all kind of keep score of how many times we use the word unprecedented today. But also to make time to join us today for today's training. So as we planned this year's LTC, no one obviously could have imagined that a global pandemic would upend not just these particular plans, but also our entire industry, and certainly our day-to-day lives, both personally and professionally. So we may not be in Austin, although I am still in Texas, and we may not be gathered in the same room, but we are all together. And that is the first step, really, towards a successful year for your chapters. It's going to be a great day of learning and sharing and planning, and knowing our chapters relations team. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun as well. So look forward to that. A huge thank you to that team, to everyone who played a part in turning this year's LTC into a virtual event. It was no light lift, but you are the epitome of what it means to show grace under fire, to pivot, and to make lemonade out of lemons.